money and social media platform to influence American politics. Johnson had spent weeks negotiating the first version of the continuing resolution with congressional leaders, including with Democrats. It already had its share of critics on Capitol Hill, even before Musk began posting his criticisms about it on X. But Musk's posts were instrumental in the bill's demise. He even went as far as to warn, quote, any member of the House or Senate who votes for this outrageous spending bill deserves to be voted out in 2 years. This whole episode has also caused people to wonder who's really in control of the incoming administration. Donald Trump, the actual incoming president, or Elon Musk? That point was further highlighted by remarks made by Mike Johnson last night, who said he had contacted both men in the run-up to the final House vote last night.
I was in constant contact with President Trump throughout this process, spoke with him most recently about 45 minutes ago. He knew exactly what we were doing and why, and this is a good outcome for the country. I think he certainly is happy about this outcome as well. Elon Musk and I talked within about an hour ago, and we talked about the extraordinary challenges of this job. And I said, hey, you want to be Speaker of the House? I don't know. He said, this may be the hardest job in the world. I think it is.
As we've witnessed over the past 2 years, this Republican conference is in disarray. This Congress, which is in session until the new group of lawmakers are sworn in on January 3rd, began with a days-long speakership election. You remember this? It involved 15 rounds of voting. The man they chose, Kevin McCarthy, ultimately became the first speaker to be removed from his post in an effort that was led by a member of his own party. So perhaps it's fitting that the 118th Congress is ending much like it began, in chaos. That seems to be the pattern with Trump's Republican Party and maybe now Musk's Republican Party. And though they will control the White House and both chambers of Congress come January, they don't have the mandate that Trump claims they do. Their margins in Congress are narrow, a 4-seat advantage in the House. And as we saw last night, 38 Republicans were prepared to work against their leader, their president, and Elon Musk. The first test of the new Republican House majority is right around the corner, and it could set the tone for the upcoming Congress. In just a couple of weeks, the House will have to hold another election for Speaker, and it's not yet a foregone conclusion that Mike Johnson will be reelected to that role, especially after the challenging week that he just had. Joining me now are Norm Ornstein, Senior Fellow Emeritus at the American Enterprise Institute, contributing editor for The Atlantic and co-host of the Words Matter podcast, and Michael Schur, a longtime political journalist. Gentlemen, good to see you both. Norm, as you know very well, government shutdowns or even the threat of shutting down the government, and it used to be a relatively rare thing. It was the biggest deal in the news. Lawmakers never wanted to get to this point. But now it seems like it's being weaponized as a tool for political leverage every few months.
And we're going to see it happen again in March, Ali. You know, the fact is that the House Republicans, in the end, most of them voted for this stripped-down punt to take it until March, because they realized they blundered into a situation that even though Joe Biden is still the president, all of this was going to be blamed on the Republicans. But that 38 number is a key thing. These are people who were more than willing to shut down the government, make a statement, and believe that maybe it would result in all of government blowing up. That's what we have to look forward to. And remember, that Republican majority of 4 is going to be down to 2 or even less when we reconvene. We are not at all certain that Mike Johnson is going to have the votes to be Speaker. We could have a blow up, not of the government itself, but the House unable to act on January 6th even. This is a group, you could say they can't shoot straight, but it's much worse than that. And it is going to plague the Republicans going forward. And one thing to keep in mind, what Mike Johnson said was he talked to Elon Musk first before he talked to Donald Trump. Who's the president-elect here?
And Michael, that's the wild part about this, because it's not a mandate. Donald Trump keeps talking about the mandate. It was a small election victory, and as Norm points out, in the House, it's super narrow. This does not a mandate make. So if you're the House Speaker, you really have to work on bipartisanship. You've really got to figure this out. You've got to have good relations. And now you've got this extra thing. You not only have Trump, the bomb thrower, you've got Elon Musk, who seems to be his boss, throwing different bombs. This is if I were Mike Johnson, I'd take the win and leave.
Well, he just may, Ali. I mean, he may be forced to. I can't see him ascending to the post again without Democratic support, which would be unheard of in a speaker election in the House. But just the math that Norm just went through and the math that you presented in the lead up shows you that how fragile this majority is. And I think also when you look at a speaker who has to deal with what is essentially right now, at least, a Republican oligarchy dictating which way this legislation is going to go, what's going to be cut and stripped. You have Elon Musk talking about how many pages were in this bill. Well, the pages that were cut out, he said, turned it from pounds to ounces. That's not what a lot of people go to Washington to legislate. So you have this whole notion of a House that really has an agenda, people that were elected, many of them, with ideology. And then you have a president-elect coming back who doesn't really wallow in policy, right? So that is where these two sides are going to have a really difficult time interacting with one another.
And look, there are lots of reasons, Norm, why people cast the ballots they cast, and that's valid. But I'm not sure everybody knew they were voting for Elon Musk's influence in this thing. I spoke with Timothy Snyder about this Trump-Musk coalition, which he refers to as the MUMP regime. Listen to what he said about the interplay between these two men. I don't have it, so I'm going to read it out to you in a moment. He says, Mr. Trump has real debts, and Mr. Musk has real money, and whatever threats Trump can issue, whether that's to primary someone or whether that's lawsuits against the media, those will be financed by Mr. Musk. So the debts are not just in the past. The debts are also going forward toward the future. Musk is actually the stronger figure here, but at the same time, there's also a sign of conflict between the two men and a sign that Congress may realize that they want the U.S. to continue to exist as a republic, which is kind of the basic line that we're talking about here. Tim Snyder makes an interesting point. This is does not look like a sustainable dynamic, that Elon Musk tweets first and says the government maybe should shut down, and then Donald Trump later on follows and says, hey, maybe the government should shut down.
You know, there are a couple of points to make here, Ali. Trump bought into Elon Musk because Elon Musk put $277 million into helping him get elected, and then thought he might kind of sideline him, along with Vivek Ramaswamy, excuse me, with this non-governmental Department on Government Efficiency. Well, it turns out you can't sideline Elon Musk. And Elon Musk is veering more and more into lunatic conspiracy and right-wing radical theories. Look at his support for the neo-Nazi party in Germany, which he says is the only one that can prevail. And I think this is going to be an ongoing headache for him and for congressional Republicans, because he has this enormous bully pulpit. He has complete control over Twitter, whatever he wants to call it now, and he can mobilize tens of millions of people, unlimited funds in which to do it, and acting as a kind of rump president. I don't think Trump had any idea what he was getting himself in for. And I'm not sure that Mike Johnson or the House Republicans, who are themselves divided. Remember that Mike Johnson is really himself a radical Christian nationalist extremist, and he's not radical enough for 40 or more of his own members. We are headed for a crazy period ahead, which is not something we should be looking forward to, because the country is going to suffer.
Well, that's valid. The chaos of this week, Michael, was telling, and you know, it might save democracy that these guys are so disorganized that they might not be able to actually pull it together to dismantle it. But this is very telling. Mike Johnson is a Trump supporter. He's a Trump ally. He's there, and he had to tell the press last night. He told our Julie Sirkin how he talked to Elon Musk within the last hour. It was a bit of a backhanded criticism of Elon Musk, saying my job's really hard and complicated. But the fact that the Speaker of the House had to consult with Elon Musk before coming up with a plan to keep the United States government funded and open is, I don't know what to say, Michael. I'm out of words as to how do you describe that.
By the way, we should also not forget that Donald Trump hasn't been sworn in yet, right? So you're dealing with this government that isn't really in place yet, and this kowtowing or trying to kowtow to not only the incoming president, but a billionaire who has not been elected to anything and whose opinions are being adopted by the incoming president. So that in and of itself is unprecedented. Then it's sort of why I called it oligarchical before, is that you have the richest man in the world trying to dictate to Congress what to do, threatening them, saying that we're going to primary everyone who votes against it. Meanwhile, 170 of them voted against it. So that means he's going to have to primary 170 Republicans, which, of course, we don't see happening. But what do we know to believe anymore? And I think that you're going to see that, look, I mean, this is not necessarily a blueprint for how things are going to go all the way in the House and Senate. But what you're seeing is the flex, right? You're seeing an ability to defy the administration, and it puts the speaker in a very difficult place to find any kind of a majority, to find any kind of unanimity. Look across the aisle, Hakeem Jeffries, just like his predecessor, Nancy Pelosi, able to keep his caucus virtually airtight, right? You had one, Jasmine Crockett from Texas voted present, but that is extraordinary. And they know that what they want, Democrats actually wouldn't mind seeing the debt ceiling go away, but they know in their interests of unanimity, this is the best path forward, and let the other side crumble until they don't. And I think that's what you're seeing.
We do have to have a conversation
right here.
We do have to have a conversation on the debt ceiling, and you guys are the guys to have it with, but we'll leave that for another day. Thanks to both of you, as always. Norm Ornstein, Senior Fellow Emeritus at American Enterprise Institute and contributing editor at The Atlantic. Michael Schur is a longtime political journalist. All right, still ahead on Velshi. Elon Musk wants to delete an independent agency that was created to protect you from financial abuses. I'll speak with the head of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, Rohit Chopra, about the billions of dollars the agency has restored to consumers in its 13-year history, and what will happen if the billionaire class dismantles it. Plus, today's meeting of the Velshi Band Book Club will examine global bestseller and cultural touchstone The Girl on the Train by Paula Hawkins.
When your leader is asked for cleanup and restoration, how do you make like it never even happened happen? Fire it up, Randy! By being prepared for anything. Whatever comes your way, there's a pro for that.
Serve Pro, like it never even happened.
The online store that was just breached has my payment info.
During the holidays, think of all the places that can expose your info. LifeLock monitors millions of data points for identity theft. If there's a problem, we fix it, guaranteed.
I won't let my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis symptoms define me.
Emerge as you with clearer skin. With Tremfya, most people saw 100% clear skin that stayed clear, even at 5 years.
Serious allergic reactions and increased risk of infections may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check you for infections and TB. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, or if you need a vaccine.
Emerge with clear skin. Ask your doctor about Tremfya.
We all need fiber for our digestive health, but less than 10% of us get enough each day. Good thing Metamucil gummies are an easy way to get prebiotic plant-based fiber with the same amount of fiber as 2 cups of broccoli. Metamucil gummies, the easy way to get your daily fiber.
When you live with diabetes, progress is having your coffee like you like it, without an audience. The Freestyle Libre 3 Plus sensor tracks your glucose in real time, so everyone else doesn't have to. And over time, it can help lower your A1C. Confident choices for more control of your life. This is progress. Learn more and try for free at freestylelibre.us.
You've got a subscription for streaming movies and music, maybe even one for food. But what about when it's your water line that's streaming? Repairs are expensive. Good contractors, hard to find. The plan from HomeServe is like a subscription for peace of mind. For one small monthly fee, when a covered system breaks, we'll send a qualified contractor and pay